me to do as you're comfortable. And obviously, Emily, you have a lot of background and a lot of experience on presenting, so you can probably teach me a thing or two. But I do think it'll be important for us to kind of take a look at the end of what was done last year, and you can kind of get a feel of how it's going to work on the day of your presentation. So really quickly, I just started the recording. My name's Deneen Diamond. I'm the lead for the Center of Excellence for Health. Today we have my beautiful intern V, who's going to help with technology during the sessions. We have Nathan Langell, who is the Center of Excellence for Skilled Trades and Manufacturing. You folks know Christopher Buckingham, and we have Emily Roger, who I just met, and she told us her kind of background, and I'm so excited because she's going to hire me to carry her bags across the world, and I'm going to work on my biceps and triceps, so I'm super pumped for that. So the purpose of today's meeting is really just to make sure you folks are comfortable with what the presentations look like, what they feel like, and always knowing that we're here, I'm here, and V's here to support what you're doing or what you're presenting. We are very excited that this is the second year, and last year was super successful. And the Minister of Education and the Minister of Natural Resources have been super supportive of the initiative. I think that even Nathan being here and speaking his views on hunting and fishing and the importance of that in his life, and how it really does help with our mental health and where we stand in holistic wellness, which is why it's so dear to my heart. Nature is something that's extremely important to me. I don't hunt. I've been fishing a few times. I don't hunt per se. I've been asked to sit in a blind or two, but I didn't take that up. But I will say that being outside and being in nature is a daily occurrence for me, and it's something that I need for my own mental health. And I think that what you folks are doing is taking your passion and your expertise and making a career out of it. And this is what the Center of Excellence is all about. It's about looking at, okay, if this is what your strength is, and this is what you're really excited and passionate about, how do we make sure that we incorporate that into our work? And that's what we're trying to do with this model of education, is give students kind of a hands-on look or a hands-on experience that can really help motivate them to, one, learn about the opportunities in the province, but also get excited for staying in the province. And that really is how our model works. It's very different from our typical education model, but it's really exciting to see all the different initiatives and activities that we have on the go. And the Wildlife Wednesdays is a prime example of how we can really maybe catch some of those students that don't feel like they belong in the school system. I was administrator for many, many years, as was Nathan at Fredericton High School. We spent many hours with folks that all they wanted to do was be on their four-wheeler and out hunting and fishing and having a good time in the outdoors. And I would have loved to say, you know what? We have a series out there that maybe you can learn about something that you can actually dive into if this is what you're passionate about. And here's some examples of some beautiful experts and people that have made this their career, so you can do the same thing. And I know that Nathan and I spoke about that, about, you can do this, but sometimes seeing it actually come to fruition really helps students to say, my gosh, I can really do this. So that was a lot of an intro, and you'll know right away that I'm somebody that tends to go on a tangent. So I do have a couple things that I'm going to share to keep us kind of on a roll. And what I'm sharing, again, is just a template. It does not need to be followed. It just helps when people are like, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. And these are why I'm sharing the PowerPoint and the graphics and those types of things, to kind of help you figure out what you're going to put into your presentation. But I will say that the number one goal for the presentations is to inform the students about what you do, why you love it, how you have gotten to where you are, what was your career pathway, and also bringing in what it does for your own mental health. And you do not have to be an expert. You do not have to go into depth. You can just say very briefly, this is something that helps to ground me, or this is something that I've always felt was in my, I call it my dharma, but my purpose. And again, you don't have to be an expert. If you're not comfortable talking about it, you can just say, this really helps my mental health. That's it. It doesn't have to be a big, elaborate explanation, but it would be lovely for you to mention that, just because the Center of Excellence does have two priorities. And the two priorities are mental health and career pathways and health and social care. So this hits both of those very nicely. So it's always, we're just trying to be mindful of that. So the first thing I'm going to share is an actual template regarding our speaking series. And this would be considered a speaking series, but it's a live event. And this will probably help. Now, hopefully I'm able to, oh, you don't want to see that. You don't want to see that, or that, or that. Oh, goodness. Okay, here we go. Can we see this?
We can.
Okay, slideshow from the beginning. Okay, so this is considered our speaking series or exploratory interviews. And it's just to find out what the typical day looks like in your life. And Emily, it sounds like your life is very not typical. And you may not have a typical day, but I would love for you to speak about the many different adventures that you take regarding your work. And what we have found out in research, and this was when I first came on, we were doing research about what students want to know about careers. And there actually is a movement of the day in the life of, maybe it's a day in the life of a biologist, day in the life of a public speaker, whatever that looks like. And they want a very quick, dirty glimpse. They are not interested in having a full day experience unless they are passionate about what that role is. So this is a great way to introduce a career, tell them why it's awesome, and maybe talk about some of the barriers, and then they can decide to explore that or not. So just a little bit about yourself would be on the first slide. Pictures are great to try and just kind of talk about a little bit about you. So where you were at age 15, which is the average age that will be signing in. Which living person do you most admire? What do you think about career mentors? Did you have one? What do you most value in your friends? These are not questions that you have to answer. This is just ways to engage students at the beginning of a presentation. So don't feel like you have to answer all of these. Again, these are just suggestions. So personal skills. So what do you do in your spare time? Do these hobbies play a factor in your career? Emily, it sounds like everything that you do for your career is coming from a place of passion and excitement. And that's really going to be important for you to kind of explain what do you consider your greatest achievements? What is the most marked characteristic? What is your motto? So the reason why we have this at the beginning of the session is it's really important for students to see you as a person, because sometimes students see teachers and presenters as, oh, here's just another presenter. But if you can help bring a personal side to it, that will help with engagement. So career profiles, this is kind of where you get into your career. What is your job now and how long have you been working in this field? What made you decide to pursue the career? I'm not going to read through all of this. Positives, negatives. I'm going to send all of this information along to Chris and he can send it along to everybody. I think you may already have it, but we certainly will send it again. The skills, relationships, looking back, and then your career pathway. So how did you get to where you are? And that's kind of the interesting piece, because most people, when they think about where they were in high school to where they are now, is not probably the same path that they thought they were going to take, me included. I had no clue. One, I had no desire to be a teacher, and I became a teacher and taught for 18 years. Then I had no desire to be an administrator, and I was an administrator for 5 years, and I had no desire to be at the department, and now I'm loving my life at the Department of Education. So it's all kind of relative to speak about. So then it would be your education and training. So where did you go to school? What did you do? And if there's no training there and you just, kind of jump from high school into the career, that's lovely to speak about as well. Work experience, what kind of things have you done in your past? Most people don't take a linear career path where they come to their dream job. There's usually some other experience in there. And lastly would be career advice. So, what kind of advice would you give somebody that maybe wants to go into public speaking, Emily, or fly fishing, or trying to own their own business? What does that look like? And maybe some practical tips that students could use. These are just little tips that you can use, should be 15 to 20 minutes. So for this session, we're looking at 15 to 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes, and then 10 minutes for questions with the students. If you go over, I am not somebody that will cut you off and say, you're at 30 minutes, you are done. I'm going to let that happen naturally. And I do warn you at a certain point if you're going too far over that 30-minute mark, and that just has to do with school schedules. Connect, try and make it personal, and practice. Emily, I don't need to speak to you about this because you're a public speaker, but if you're nervous about the presentation, Chris and I and my intern V would be very happy to practice with you, hear what you have, review your PowerPoint, all of those types of things. We're here to support you. So I'm going to end the slideshow and I'm going to stop sharing. Is there any questions on your end so far?
Nope.
Pretty straightforward, right?
I thought I had an hour. 20 to 30 minutes is a really short time.
I know. We can make it. I always say it's 45 minutes, but people tend to go over. So around 30, 35 minutes, and then 10 minutes for questions. Sometimes there's no questions at all. I always have questions which help engage the students, but it will be about 45 minutes.
Okay.
And that just has to do with school schedules.
Okay.
Chris, any questions on your end?
No, none so far.
Okay, perfect. All right, so now I'm just going to share again. That one. What do I have here? Here is another template, and this is actually made for Wildlife Wednesday. Again, I can share this with you. Some people like to just take this template and go with it because they're not very savvy in PowerPoint. Certainly these pictures would have to be taken out for whatever you are presenting on. But this is just, I'm just going to go through quickly. There's just different, if this is something that you want to use, it's really easy to take the pictures out and just add your notes. It's kind of like a dummy proof PowerPoint. So again, not necessary to use, but you certainly can. The other piece that I'm going to share is the speaking series. Again, this is just basically what we went through. How can I make this bigger? About what you can include in your presentation, and I will send this out to you as well. And I think that is it. But what I would love, if you guys are excited and we can hear it, I'd love to show you the first piece of one of our successful videos so you can get a feel for that. And we'll go from there. So I'll put it here. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. And if you can't hear it, just let me know.
Here we go.
I don't think we can hear the
You
video.
can't hear it because I didn't press it. That's right. Okay. So share and then include computer sign. Here we go. Do you hear it now?
You're not sharing your screen yet.
Include computer. Presenter mode. And we want you to just be here, be comfortable. Okay. Ready? Here we go. Did I do that right? I hope it's recording. Recording has started. Perfect. Awesome. Okay. Here we are, Wildlife Wednesday. My name is Deneen Diamond. I'm the lead for Center of Excellence for Health. Can you hear it? We are super excited about today's session. Yes. With Brian Coble, and he is going to share his knowledge and passion around his work and what he does in his job. And we have teachers and students from all over. I would love if teachers could turn on their camera just for a minute so we can get a wave to the students. I know we have high school students, we have kindergarten students, and I know some people have to sign out early, and we want you to just be here, be comfortable, and enjoy Brian's presentation. Oh, there we go. Give me a wave. Oh.
Wow.
I love it. Thank you so much. Oh, there's the high school students. Excellent. Thank you so much for turning on the cameras. We are going to have a little bit of time at the end of the session today to offer some time for questions. But without further ado, Brian Coble is a fisheries biologist at the Department of Natural Resources and Energy Development with the Government of New Brunswick, Canada. He undertook his Bachelor of Science at the University of New Brunswick and his Master's in Science at Edinburgh Napier University in Scotland. Having worked on 3 different continents, Brian has a diverse knowledge of biology, particularly pertaining to fish. Having spent the majority of his career on Vancouver Island in British Columbia, which is gorgeous, working with Pacific salmon, he has returned home to use his skills in his home province of New Brunswick. So we are very excited to have the students. There's another student class giving a wave. And without further ado, I'm handing it over to our amazing expert today, Brian.
Well, thank you very much for that wonderful introduction, Deneen. Let me just share my screen here. How's that look?
Awesome.
Good. Okay, great. So again, thanks for that wonderful introduction. I'm just very pleased to be here today to talk to all of you about something I hold very near and dear to my heart, and that is, of course, fish. So today, the presentation will be on New Brunswick Fish ID. I'm going to talk a little bit about how I got here as a biologist and what we do as a biologist, and then we'll have a look at some of these really cool critters. So,
nope. Let me get out of here. Escape. I can't get back to my page. There we go. Okay. So that was just a little blurb on what it may look like and what it feels like. What will happen on the day of the presentation is V and myself and Chris will sign in 15 minutes early and make sure that your technology is working. We'll pull up the screen to make sure that that PowerPoint is working or whatever you want to have on there. I will say that the videos that we have played in the past, just be kind of aware that sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. You can't really depend on YouTube if that's where they're coming from. So just maybe minimize it rather than having it in your PowerPoint, or you can do both. V is certainly the one. V, do you want to put your email in? I know you have to go to class. Can you just put your email in the chat so that people know they can contact you if they have perfect specific questions regarding technology? Thank you so much, V. Appreciate you being here. So we sign on about 15 minutes early if we can, and I do a little welcome, ask teachers to actually put in their chat what grade they're in, what school, how many students they have, and that's how we record the data and the numbers for how many students are there. I will say that in our sessions last year, we had some sessions that were super engaging where we had over 200 students sign on, and some we had 4 or 5 sign on. And I pretend like there's thousands of people no matter what, because what we have learned from the hits in the website is that teachers really do go back and use these videos for their classroom and for the learning of the students. So just because there's no one there does not mean that it's a waste of time. We use it as an opportunity to post it on our website and make sure that it's out there for teachers and students to have throughout the year. So that was, like I said, a lot. I'm going to just open up the floor to any questions. It's 2:28. I'm pretty close to the time. I think I put 45 minutes for this, but maybe just 30. Emily, anything that's on your end that I didn't cover that maybe I should cover when considering presenting?
Yeah. So now, after watching that, I would have asked of what is the age or the grades and who I'm speaking to. So it is from kindergarten all the way up to high school.
No, it's actually geared towards middle and high school, but for
Okay.
some reason the elementary students got hold of this information because this upcoming events goes out. But what was so lovely is that this elementary class was talking about fish and fish ID, and they were doing a simple lesson, and this teacher heard about the session, was like, oh, I wonder if that's suitable. Anyways, they signed in. So it was so cool to have them sign in, the grade 12s there. And at the end, like there was grade 12s asking questions, there was kindergartens asking questions, and it was really neat to see that ages, but the information should be geared towards middle and high school.
Okay.
And don't feel like you have to bring it down younger than that.
Okay. And then I don't know if you want to keep recording as I ask all of my
No, I
questions.
think it's
So-
good.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other thing is that like whenever I'm getting a presentation, it's wanting to know what you want the audience to take away from. So what I heard, just to be clear, through the Center of Excellence is you want to kind of talk about the career pathways and how not all of us have to take a trajectory kind of way, and then the mental health component to it. A lot of what when I speak to, like when I have spoken to students and stuff and kids and stuff before, and people always want to know like about my career. And for me, it is not like what I do, it's who I am, and speaking to that. So that is what I personally would want to tie into that. And I can speak to the, that whole education component and how we focus on what we want to be when we grow up versus who we want to be, and that passion plays a huge role in that. So as long as that is okay.
Absolutely. I
and
love it.
then
You're talking
wanting-
my words. I love it.
Perfect. And then you wanting to keep it within the province. And so just speaking to that thing of like how we can, then for me, how I came back to the province recently, but then like how we can stay and how these opportunities are available within the province. That's what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So for me, it's like, I take it as I do all of these cool things and get to fish all of these different species of fish all around the world. But it is like, even when like Chris first asked me, or it was mentioned about like me speaking to it, it is like, yeah, that's cool. However, it is this thing of like, how does one be able to become to do that, and why? Because anybody can do that. And really, like, I think what I would love to include is a component around like breaking down the self-doubt that we have about ourselves, because we can dream of any sort of career. And it is like, when I speak to students versus when I speak to top CEOs, it's all the same thing. And we all have these self-doubts. So we can come up with these career paths, but like when we don't believe in ourselves and confidently think that we can do it, then it's never going to go further than just that thought. So, I wish it was in person.
I know, but listen, but this is how things start. So just so that you know, and people that are listening as well, or listening to the recording, Honorable Mike Holland did one virtually last year, and now he wants to do a full assembly. And our plan is to do a full assembly with students in person in May. So it's not out of the question to maybe add a little piece in about you on that day if you're interested. But again, this is going to be an ongoing project. So this year, if you do something virtually and you really want to do something in person next year, or even next semester, or even within the year, I have it's capacity for me where I'm partners with so many different people, and my year's pretty much planned right now. But certainly, Emily, I already know right now that I think that you would be amazing at many different aspects of my priorities and how we could fit you in there. So certainly that's something that we can look at.
Okay.
Okay. Chris, anything on your end?
For me, and it's part of the reason why we chose Emily and how she's going to knock this right out of the park is my big focus is to take what we did last year or what was done last year and take it to the next level. And I
Exactly.
think just Emily's personality, how even when you start talking fishing, Emily, I don't know if you notice this, but you start to glow, you start to
Oh, I
smile.
love it. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And it's the energy, and that's what we need to excite these kids for the future is energy, passion, enthusiasm. You know, I've sat through a million different seminars, and I think we all have, and we zone out if somebody's just reading a script.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, you're so electric when you speak. You have such enthusiasm and passion about what you're speaking to that I think that's going to translate and get these kids excited. And that's why we identified you as one of our top priorities to speak in this event.
I love it.
yeah, wonderful. It's nice to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Do you want to stop recording and then I'll chime in also on some
Yes,
ideas?
we're gonna stop recording. Here we go.